Good morning, I'm Bradley Miller, and this is my wife Peggy with Grace Connections, and you're in the morning... I always get that off.
Morning meditation minutes.
Morning meditation minutes. Thank you. I'm going to write myself out a card, that way I can remember that. Morning meditation minutes.
Which is just a name that somebody came up with that we kind of thought was cute. Actually, you're here in our kitchen with us this morning watching how we do our devotions, and this is totally off the cuff and just kind of how one way that a couple can study the Bible together.
Yep, and right now we're finishing up Mark 7, and we're going 31 through 37. Jesus heals a deaf man. So, what were your thoughts after reading the passage?
My first thought was, well, I had a lot of different thoughts, but he takes the man to the side. Now in the footnotes it says so that they don't see the miracle happening. But I'm thinking there's also a really practical point to that, because if you've not heard and then you're in a crowd, and that would be like really overwhelming. So just practically, it would have to happen that way. Otherwise, it would be like turning on your radio and somebody having turned the volume all the way up, and you go, it would be very uncomfortable. But this is also the perfect physical example of what he came here to do spiritually. He came here to open up people's eyes and ears spiritually, and now he's doing that for this man. And then the third thing that struck me is that he tells him again, don't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And what do people do? They run out and they tell everyone. And this is so human nature. And just think about it. Whenever you're in a car trip, whenever you were a little kid, and somebody said, okay, we're hitting the middle of Nebraska or Kansas, and we're not going to be able to stop for a drink or a bathroom for 3 hours. Immediately, you become very thirsty and you have to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody says, I'm going to tell you this, but don't tell anybody, immediately you want to say something. So Jesus says, don't tell anybody, and of course we immediately want to do the opposite. Now, later on, whenever he says, go tell them, everybody's like, I don't have anything to say. Maybe he would have been better off to like flip that around and say, go tell everybody about these miracles, and people would have been like, yeah, no big deal. And then said, now whatever you do, don't tell them the good news of the gospel, because then our human nature would kick in. And then we would want to... But that's what struck me, that we are very good at doing the opposite of what God tells us to do, or what anyone tells us to do. We're very much prone to that.
Jesus charged them to tell no one, but the more he charged them, the more zealously they proclaimed it.
Mm-hmm.
They were zealots, which is a great vocab word from last night that my daughter was learning about. They were astonished beyond measure, saying, he has done all things well. He even makes the deaf hear and the mute speak. So they see this man, they see his power, and they see his power as being able to unleash, this guy can now hear, he can now speak, but they don't see that he is the Messiah who can do more than just fix their physical ailments. He can give them everlasting life, and he's coming into power, but not the way that they expect. They're wanting their Messiah to come in and put the beat down on the government because we've been oppressed and we've been under this rule, and he's coming in this very not the way that you would expect, because that's how God works. He doesn't take
He doesn't yell, he whispers.
He takes the person who cannot. Moses was a stutterer and had this speech problem, and here he's leading these people and creating this mass exodus of another vocab word, by the way. So it's just amazing how how God uses people and totally flips the way of the world would be. And here these people are seeing these miracles, and it wouldn't be, if you were to go and look at it and say, hey, look, this is what this man Jesus did for me, and this is his story and what he's going to do for our people, versus just, he healed me. Grab that guy and get your ailment fixed.
Well, and also I think this is another beautiful example of how spiritual healing happens. Now, I'm not discrediting revival movements and church services and things like that, but here with this person, he didn't say, all right, and spread his hands and do a mass, because he could have just said, I now proclaim all ailments are gone from everyone in this crowd. He could have said that, but it's one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
It's going one-on-one, and he heals, he opens the person's eyes, or not eyes, but in this case, ears and mouth. He heals this person, and that's a beautiful example for us how that spiritual healing happens. It doesn't happen through, let me tell y'all about this. It's let me tell you about this. Let me come to you and have a relationship with you, and let me share with you, and let me make this personal to you, not
click like or share if you like this post.
Right. And there is a place for that. It's wonderful whenever people can gather together and experience worship and experience the power of God together in a group. But in all reality, if you have a revival meeting and it's this wonderful tent meeting where there are all of these conversions, well, first off, I kind of question why it is that someone who didn't believe, like they would be on the fence people, I suppose. But if you have somebody who's going, I've never heard of this before, or I definitely don't agree with this, they're not going to find themselves in that audience. The person who is antagonistic toward church is not going to find themselves in church on a Sunday morning. They're going to find themselves in this one-to-one where you can actually talk and connect with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, then you've got the neutral people who are just like, well, yeah, if somebody asks me, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
But this person was really broken. And I kind of, in my mind, I equate that with people who are very spiritually broken. It's not going to happen in mass. It's going to happen one-on-one.
One-on-one.
Right or wrong, it's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I'm reading into it today.
So that's our thoughts on Mark 7:31 through 37. Hit us up if you have any questions or anything in the comments section, or on Facebook, like, post, or share out, or ping us. However, you can go to our website and check us out and learn more, and we will catch you tomorrow.